everybody to the Connected Podcast. I am your host, Marcelo A, and today we have an amazing guest. This man is straight up changing the game in so many ways with his own brand, his life story, and all the struggles, trials, and tribulations that he has endured. Me and this guy, we share a brotherhood because we've been through some serious life-altering situations, and I'm excited to bring this man to Marcelo A, to this podcast, and have him share his story. So without any further ado, let me let in my friend, Jonathan Traylor with Hope with Jonathan.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing, look at you, dude. I'm doing well, dude. It's about time, man. We've been talking about doing this podcast for a while, man. And finally, here it is. It's a pleasure, dude.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you inviting me on, and I've seen you doing some amazing work yourself. So it's definitely exciting to talk with you and podcast with you.
Absolutely. Before I let you into the chat, I was telling the audience, man, that you and we share like a lot of similarities, straight brotherhood, because when you come across someone that has gone through the stuff that you've gone through, kidney transplantation, dialysis, this is very rare, and I was telling you this in the messages, man. So I love what you're doing, and I want to get into it, man. So
Yeah, man. I basically got into advocacy and doing what I'm doing, but based on my near-death experience with kidney failure. And, in July of 2019, man, I got hit like a truck by kidney disease, kidney failure. I was type 2 diabetic. I was hypertensive for many years. And pretty much did whatever I wanted for the first 41 years of my life. I ate what I wanted, did what I wanted. I was always a big, strong guy. But that lifestyle ultimately, landed me in the emergency room with kidney failure.
Yeah.
And due to type 2 diabetes and hypertension, and diabetes and hypertension are the top two leading causes of chronic kidney disease, as everybody knows. Well, some people don't know. That's why we share it. That's why we talk about it so much.
Absolutely.
Try to get that information out there. Because how many people do you know in your family or someone you come across that's either diabetic or hypertensive, right? I mean, there's so many people out there that are hypertensive, so it's definitely information that's worth sharing. But
it is.
I ended up, in an emergency room, man, in an emergency situation. My local hospital here, after they ran the blood work, man, they wanted to put me in a helicopter and ship me down the road to San Antonio because they didn't have a dialysis machine.
Oh, wow.
And so, and I was in stage 5 ESRD. My lungs had been started to fill up with fluid, and I was having trouble breathing. My heart was racing. I thought I was nearly going to die, really, honestly. When we got to the emergency room in San Antonio, I still remember the emergency room physician saying, "Man, you better grab that crash cart." And from there, I blacked out, and I woke up a couple of days later in the ICU.
Ooh.
And 3 days later, I came to, and I had intubation and and hoses and machines beeping, and I think I was hooked.
Let's talk about that real quick, because you have so much that happened. How did you feel? Because that has happened to me before too, dude. It's just like,
oh man, I was
you're good, and then the next moment you have like all these people and machines. That's crazy. How did you feel?
It was a scene out of your favorite medical sitcom, without naming any. You know what I mean? It was literally like it was just really this odd, eerie feeling, and like I knew something was wrong, but it was it was so scary. I couldn't talk because I had the tube down my throat.
Yeah.
So I went to talk, but I couldn't.
Ooh.
Because I had this tube down my throat, and I'm like, so my sister's hearing impaired, and so I started doing sign language to my mom to let her know that, hey, I'm coming too, because I heard my mom's voice in the distance.
Yeah.
And a son, when he hears his mother's voice, he knows that's his mom. And so I started doing sign language, and they got her, and so they went and got the nurses and said, hey, I think he's coming too. And progressively I started, they started getting the tubes and stuff out of me where I could talk and stuff. But man, it was a scary, life altering experienced. Most definitely.
It truly does make you just like everything just ceases to exist and it's all on pause. Everything just pauses, everyone's life, because it's serious at that point, man. And
yeah,
man.
Yeah, it was real life. It was real life. And, and then they start, hitting you with, you got to make all these changes and this is what happened to you and you almost died. And and they just, a lot of medical terminology and I didn't have any education on this stuff, Marcelo. I wasn't really going to the doctors and stuff like I needed to. And I wasn't really taking care of myself, as I mentioned before. I was overweight. I ate what I wanted. I was a pizza burger guy, which was terrible. I drank soda, which was terrible. So, those are the effects and what happened to me. And like I said, man, it totally changed my life. I'm actually grateful this happened to me because it changed me, man. It totally changed me for the better.
We're going to get into that, man. I want to get into that, why you're grateful for sure. So let me ask you, so did you get put on dialysis or did they automatically go to the transplant?
So of course, they put the central line and then put the permacath in. So I had the IJ in the neck for a little bit. Then they converted that and they were doing dialysis there. And then they converted that while I was in the hospital there to a permacath. As I got better, man, they were coming in my room like nurses and stuff that had worked on me in the ICU. They were like, we normally see patients like you die. Like they wanted to come and talk with me and like find out like how I was doing. And because they said I was just moments from death, man. My potassium was 9. Which is off the charts high. I mean, 9
so for the audience, the people that don't or are not familiar with potassium, high potassium levels are extremely deadly. I remember one time my doctor said, you need to be careful with this. You need to stop because that's one of the main ingredients that they give death row inmates. That's like what they feel when they pass. So there you go. And the potassium range, the number where you're already in dangerous levels is 6.6 and above. He said he had a 9. That's incredible, brother.
It's off the charts, man. So, then they told me, they said, you were just moments from death. And I said, man, I had, prior to this happening, I was in the bed for like 3 or 4 days here at the house. And I thought I was fighting the flu. I couldn't keep anything down and I was, throwing up and I wasn't urinating. But I didn't pay attention to it because I thought, I'm dehydrated. And things like that. So I was staying in the bed, but I had this real bad chronic fatigue. And so before I ended up leaving the house, man, I tried to get out of bed and literally just fell on the floor. I had no strength whatsoever. So, all the symptoms looking back were there, chronic fatigue, nausea. And I did notice that I had some swelling in my body. My ankles, my shoes were kind of hard to put on and stuff. And I noticed things like that. So, looking back, there were some symptoms going on that should have been warning signs for me. But again, that lack of education. I wasn't thinking about it. So, yeah.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Everything that you experienced up to that point, honestly, your angels were right there with you, dude. God was right there they're watching you, man, because it's like your nurses said, and they've told me many times, people don't make it out of that type of stuff, All right.
Oh, no doubt, man. If it wasn't for the spiritual walk and the prayers of my family members and friends, man, Facebook was huge because my wife was putting it on there and people was reacting, saying we're going to pray and so most definitely, man,
God, all that love and healing energy.
Absolutely. And so, but to answer your question, I ended up on hemodialysis, of course. That's if you go in emergency, your modality is hemo, with that central line. That's what you're going to end up with. And I continued with that in center for a while, and then I progressed eventually to home hemo, but we can get into that later if you want.
So how long were you doing in center for?
So I did in center for around 10 months.
Okay.
And I learned so much, man, because I became my own best advocate. Like I started Googling and really
Yeah.
like
Google is your
research and
friend.
yeah, Google your friend. And I
Yeah.
started learning so much, man. Like
Yeah.
I used to watch videos and I came across Dad Vice TV and some of his
Mm.
videos and
Shout out to
then
Dad Vice.
yeah, Dad Vice. And then I came across, Steve with the Urban Health Outreach Media Network and
Mm-hmm.
Jared Brown and all those guys, man. So
Yeah.
I started coming across their stuff and their content and started learning a lot of things, and researching and
Mm.
I asked a lot of questions when I went in center too.
That's good.
And
Yeah.
my DaVita here actually, not everybody can say this, but they were a great team,
That's
and
awesome.
they worked together good. And the nurses and the techs there, they were willing to answer any questions that I had anytime I wanted.
Yeah.
And I asked them about, what's the dialyzer? You keep referring to that as the dialyzer, and what's this injection for? Like if they brought something, they were going to put it in me. I'd
Yeah.
ask them like, what is that? What's
Mm-hmm.
that for? And why are you giving it to me? Things like that.
Yeah.
And I got to a point where I knew my body and I knew what was going to happen to me. My blood pressure and stuff would start tanking, around the end of treatment. And so
Mm-hmm.
I started telling them, say, hey, man, you better turn me down or adjust my temperature, on the machine or,
Yeah.
just little tricks and stuff that I started
Yeah.
picking up because I knew what was about to happen.
Yeah.
And they finally came to me after about 10 months and said, hey, you know what? We think you'd be a great candidate for home dialysis. And to be honest, Marcelo, I think I was starting to drive them a little bit crazy. But
Just want to get you out of there.
yeah, yeah, it's like this guy doesn't belong here anymore. We got to send him home, So and yeah, man, I progressed to home hemo with next stage. And
Yeah.
so I came home with some pamphlets and watched some YouTube videos.
Mm.
Shout out to YouTube and Next Stage, man.
Yeah.
They got some great videos on Next Stage does here on
Mm-hmm.
YouTube
Mm-hmm.
that they talk about how to set up the machine and different things and alarm codes and all these different reference videos.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
so we went in and I convinced my wife. I asked her, I said, hey, you think you could handle being my care partner? Because
Mm.
they wouldn't let me do it alone.
Yeah.
I know some people like I think yourself, you probably stick yourself and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
yeah, they wouldn't let me do that. They said, no, you got to have a care partner. So I said, okay. And so my wife came in and became the care partner. And, we graduated in about 3 weeks of training.
Nice.
And I got my first delivery here. Man, it was like 74 boxes,
Ooh.
which was incredible.
Yeah.
I had a closet dedicated to supplies, and I had dialysate boxes going down the hallway, and I had them in the living room. But it was all good, man. We figured out our own little system
Exactly.
and made it work. And we had these plastic tubs and stuff that we would utilize to store stuff in. And
Mhm.
my wife was great, man. She as a matter of fact, they thought that she picked up on it so well that they wanted her to train to be a dialysis technician.
She's like, no, she's
So
working for me. That's
yeah,
awesome.
but yeah, so it was awesome. It really was. And to be quite frank with you, Marcelo, um, change your name there to Frank. Um, honestly, man,
Mm.
I think if I would have had a choice of modality versus like peritoneal in center hemo,
Yeah, that's
man, if I
actually one of
could have,
my questions. Yeah.
yeah, if I could have made that choice, man, I would have been going to the nephrologist and all
Yeah.
that stuff and get set up like I should have because I did everything backwards. So I'm like the story you refer to say, hey, don't do it like Jonathan because Jonathan did everything backwards. But the real scenario is, man, I would have done home dialysis right away.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I would have went to peritoneal or not because I can't really speak on it because I never tried it.
Mm.
But hemo seemed like the modality of choice for me because I like getting on the machine and just getting off and
Yeah.
then being done for the day.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, man, home hemo for me was liberating because I could do, dialysis on my time instead of being locked into their schedule.
Yeah.
I was on that TTS,
Yeah. Tuesday,
Tuesday,
Thursday.
Thursday,
Yeah.
Saturday. And so, man, I started getting depressed, man, because I was like, man, I've lost my Saturdays. Like, I'm in here at 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm not getting home until around 2:30, 3 o'clock.
It becomes like a part-time job or even almost full-time job, to be honest.
Insane, man.
And the thing is, that's one thing that I want to actually harp on a little bit and really touch on that, because there are a lot of people that are doing in-center dialysis right now, and they are just done. You know what I mean? They're so wiped out. You know, what are some of the feelings and the differences that you could notice between? Because I always say in-center dialysis is a completely different beast when you compare it to home hemodialysis.
On the real, Marcelo, man, I felt incredibly a lot better. Like I was only getting the 3 treatments a week, right? And so when I would go in on that Monday from being off on Saturday and then Sunday not getting a treatment and then not going in till Monday late, I was carrying so much fluid. Like I would go in there with 4 and 5 kilos sometimes. And Marcelo, man, I was watching. Like I would drink my 32 ounces and I was really trying to be mindful, but you know, sometime over the weekend, I may have ate something or whatever, and it's the fluid. It'll sneak in there if you're really not watching. You know, whether it's through a salad, you know, or fruits or soup
ice,
or ice, you get that extra fluid, you know, somehow, some way. But man, I noticed an immediate difference with the getting a treatment almost every day. You know, think about it. Your kidneys work, you know, 24/7, you know, 365. And then you're going in and getting a machine 3 days a week. That's like what? It's like 12 to 15% kidney function or something like that in center. But like getting a treatment almost every day at home and doing it on my time, man, my body responded to that. I mean, immediately. I felt incredible. I had a lot of energy. As a matter of fact, I started looking completely different. And I remember going in and checking in with my nephrologist because she wanted to see me like once a month. And I went in and she said, man, if I didn't know any better, I would never think you were a kidney patient. Like you look so healthy that you're doing so well. Your labs look great, you know, and you just need a working kidney. Like you know, that's the only difference between you and the next man on the street right now. And I owe it all to home hemodialysis, man, because I was getting that treatment. And, you know, the good thing was, you know, and I'm not perfect at following like the most strictest diet. I was really strict, but you know, occasionally, man, I slipped off and we would go grab that, maybe a slice of pizza or something, you know, occasionally, you know, reward myself. But the good thing was in the back of my mind was that kind of made me rest easy was, okay, when I go home tonight, I'm going to get a treatment. And because I did my treatments at night. And like I could watch TV, you know. Like
you're just chilling, do your own thing.
And I'm watching TV. And then if the machine threw a code, you know, we would just deal with it. And usually it was something that we could handle. I did have a few defective machines that Next Stage had sent me. But shout out to Next Stage, man. I never missed a treatment because they flighted me a brand new machine within 24 hours. So I never missed a treatment, man. And of course, I could always go back to my local center, and they had a Next Stage machine that they would train on.
For sure.
And so I could go in there and do a treatment if while I was waiting on a machine, which was great.
It is, yes. That's amazing.
But man, so many perks for switching to home dialysis. Not only feeling better, but doing dialysis on my time. That dialysis schedule no longer had a hold on me, Marcelo. I felt like I got my life back in a way. You know what I mean? It really was liberating. I'm telling the truth. Was it work? Yes, it's work. It is work.
For sure.
You got to be, you got to be willing to be sterile. You got to follow your steps and procedures. You got to be organized. You got to be willing to listen and learn and be aware of what's going on. As long as you're following all those steps and procedures and guidelines and do your treatments like you're supposed to, you're gonna be all right. You're gonna be doing well. And man, I can't encourage people enough to at least consider it. You know what I mean? to get out of that center, man, because my center was full of no offense, shout out to all the elderly people, but I was like one of the youngest guys. I was like a young pup in my dialysis center, man, and the morale in there was low, man. People were depressed, and it had this odor. I could still smell it. It was like a death. It's just a deathly smell, and people had that spirit of like they were just giving up. You could tell the looks on their faces and stuff, man. And so I was like, man, and I would just try to be a light when I would go in there and try to smile and say good morning and hello and talk.
That's right, dude. You were the light, man.
Yeah.
You are the light. And everything you're doing right now, just sharing your story and bringing that light forward. Like, we need that. Like, people need that more than ever, especially right now in today's world, man. And I know that that's strange that you described it like that, because everything that you're saying is like, ding, yep, ding, yep. It's just checking all the stuff in my brain, because dude, I know.
Yeah, it's incredible, man. And I mean, as you can tell, I am passionate about this stuff because, man, I had a near-death experience with this, and I don't want to ever see anybody go through what I went through. And so, like, everywhere I go now, man, some of my family members, I probably get on their nerves, but somehow, some way, it's going to come up in conversation. Like, have you had your blood work lately? Have you, how's your diabetes? How's your hypertension? That caused me kidney failure. So you better, this is what you should do. You need to, and that's part of me now. I wear that, I wear that as a badge of honor, much like my fistula here that, I still have on my wrist right here. I haven't got that taken out yet, and I don't know if I ever will. I may keep this. I don't know. But some people keep them.
So how long were you on dialysis total?
So the crazy thing is, after all the training, all the stuff that we went through, imagine, this happened in July of 2019. And so this all was like a whirlwind for me. Like, I wasn't expecting a near-death experience, and then going on dialysis and learning all about dialysis, learning about the renal diet, learning about home dialysis, and then that was a whole new ball of wax, because, they took away some medication. Whenever you go on dialysis, they give you a whole bunch of medications. And then while I was on home hemodialysis, they started taking away medication.
Yeah.
Okay. So, it was like starting to learn routines, because my blood pressures were doing really well and things like that. So I lost, some of the blood pressure. I was on 3 blood pressure medications at one time.
For sure.
And so they started pulling those, because, like I said, man, my labs were incredible on home dialysis. But after all the training, 13 months total. Okay. After the 13-month mark of doing dialysis, I got the call for transplant.
Ooh.
Yeah. And ultimately what happened was, one of my family members, it was a friend of the family. He basically like a family member. They called and actually said that their brother was passing away. And they said that basically, he was brain dead. They were keeping him on the machine. And they said, though, he had signed the back of his driver's license and was a registered donor. And they knew I needed a kidney because they were following what I was putting on Facebook. They didn't know. I mean, we knew each other, but we had kind of lost touch over the years and haven't really been talking a whole lot. But they still knew who I was, and we grew up together. This family. We went to church together, attended events together, and they knew me, and we were like family at one time, really close. But I moved down to Texas, and so they live in Kentucky.
Okay.
And so there was a little bit of a distance there, but because of me sharing my story and they seen it all, and my wife had been sharing about my experience, they knew I needed a kidney, and they called me and direct donated me.
Oh, wow.
That young man's kidney. He was 40 years old.
Oh, man.
Yeah, 40 years old. And so my kidney's actually younger than me. I just celebrated my 44th. And so I've got a 40-year-old kidney. And on August the 11th of 2020, brother, I was gifted with the miracle gift of life of kidney transplant by
That's
way of,
beautiful.
yeah, direct donation. They flighted it from Kentucky all the way down here to Texas, San Antonio,
Hmm.
and I was transplanted on August the 11th of 2020, and I'm around 15 months transplanted.
Oh my goodness, brother.
Yeah, and
That is a hell of a story. And the crazy thing is, I know we just barely like scratched the surface because when you're dealing with end stage renal disease and just everything you've mentioned, dialysis, home dialysis, I mean, there's so many things that happen and you just get bombarded with so much information from the diet, from the type of treatment you want to do. Like there's so much. And, you
yeah,
know, I really commend you for sharing your story, like I said before, because bringing this knowledge, this education, and that spirit out to the for the world to see and hear is so needed more than ever, man. Because you
yeah,
know, like you just mentioned, we both know
yeah.
what it's like in those dialysis groups, you know, in
Oh,
those
no doubt. Yeah,
clinics, you know.
yeah,
Me personally, I never had a support group ever. You know, I mean, I remember I
yeah,
heard of one. It was like a urban legend. I heard of one. I heard of a
yeah.
support group, but it was never. I never really had no one to help me, support me. And now on top of that, I was like you. I was always the baby.
Yeah.
Always the baby.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned support. So, I live in Kerrville, Texas. It's a small town outside of San Antonio. I'm about an
Mm,
hour of San Antonio.
nice.
I'm about 2 hours of Austin.
Okay.
So, in this town, my wife needed gallbladder surgery. It's a true story.
Okay.
And so when she went in to have gallbladder surgery, the nurse had a business card for a man locally here that had a nonprofit.
Mm,
It just so happened the name of that nonprofit was Kidney Solutions.
okay.
And so she handed me the card and said, "You need to contact this guy. He lives right here in Kerrville, Texas." And I said, okay. I was a little skeptical.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what this guy, I don't know. So I go home and my wife had a successful gallbladder removed. And, we go home and I called him the next day. And he's like, hey, I'd like to meet with you. I'd like to meet at Denny's.
Mm,
And I'm like, all right, man, I'll meet you at Denny's. And so, my wife's like, I told my wife, I said, listen, if I'm not back in about 30 minutes, be prepared to call someone and come and
yeah.
find me because I'm not sure. And no lie, man, like I met Kim Bressler,
Okay.
and he's an advocate in the kidney community. Nonprofit is Kidney Solutions, a network of transplant experience. And
Nice.
it's a 501c3 here in Kerrville, Texas.
Mm,
And he met me at Denny's, man, and within the first couple of minutes, I knew that this was a divine intervention. Like God had ordered that business card to be put into my hands, and it was a strange situation because my wife's fixing to go into gallbladder surgery,
yeah.
and she literally hands me this business card, and then she takes my wife to surgery, right? And so I'm kind of a weird scenario there.
Yeah.
And then I call him the next day. He's like, hey, I want to meet you at Denny's. And then I meet him, and then immediately, man, it was like a connection.
Mm,
He's like, man, I'm a 30, at that time he was a 33. He's now a 34-year transplant recipient.
hmm.
He's like, I want to help you. He's like, this is what I do. I help kidney patients. I want to put you on my website, and we'll help you try to find a donor, and I'm going to mentor you. And I'm going to get you a part of my support group and
Beautiful.
all this stuff, man. And honestly, man, at that time, I was still like a deer in headlights. Like
Yeah.
I was just eyes wide open. Like I didn't know what was coming next.
A lot going on. Yeah.
A lot going on, too much going on. And man, I'm not kidding, man. I mean, he mentored me. He guided me. He led me. Like a spiritual leader, if
Hmm.
you will, almost like a father.
Yeah.
A kidney father. You know what I
Beautiful.
mean?
Yeah.
And man, it was a beautiful connection for real. I mean, seriously. And man, he got me a part of the support group, and I started meeting others, like you and yourself in the kidney community, that the people that were in need. And I
Yeah.
realized that I wasn't alone, and I didn't need to feel sorry for myself because there was other people. And then after listening to some of the other people in the group story,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
realized that my story was small on the spectrum, man. Like some of these people in here have just been through way worse than me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I realized it made me more grateful of what I had experienced and things like that. So yeah, Kidney Solutions, man, can't say enough, man. They were a huge support. And
Yeah,
when you battle a chronic illness, man, you don't want to do it alone,
for sure.
right?
Yeah.
And support is definitely crucial. Whether you find it from, it's not always from family, right?
Yeah.
It can be from your friends, because sometimes people that are not your blood are the closest thing to family that you'll ever have, right? So it could be your friends, it could be someone in the community, a church, or wherever you find your faith in, those type of places. And there's many places that you can reach out to. Your social worker at your dialysis center can lead you to some places. Sometimes your local hospitals have support groups and stuff like that. But don't go through this battle alone, because it's definitely tough. And on those, we all have bad days, right? I mean, we've all had them. Even though I'm full of hope and passion, we all have bad days. And we all have moments where we're down and we need someone, and need other people that we can connect and have a kinship with, and talk to, and a brother in a sisterhood, right? And talk with people that have the same story or similar stories, right? And so definitely reach out to your support, because it's definitely needed. I really 100% believe in that.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you, dude. And that's exactly what we all need, and
Yeah.
that's a perfect segue to everything that you have going on. I mean, your whole banner behind you, man. It makes me want to put a banner behind me. Cello Effect. I mean, that's perfectly. That's why, I mean, you're building your brand, which is an amazing brand, by the way. If anyone hasn't tuned in to Hope with Jonathan, definitely go check him out. He's always going live, always interviewing, just doing some amazing things. So touch on that a little bit, Jonathan. Because I truly do. Every time I see you hop on live, dude, it gets me excited, man. Like, it really does, to just see like a fellow brother going out there and providing this type of content for people, because it's so needed, man.
Well, Marcelo, man, I'm humbled by that, and man, I appreciate you a lot. Really and honestly, Marcelo, I'm an average person, man, that just so happened to go through kidney failure. And it changed me. It changed me for the better.
Yeah.
And I was on some podcasts. So I went on Kent's podcast. He has a podcast called Kent's Kidney Stories, and it's just audio.
Okay.
So that was like my very first, interview. I'd never done a podcast before in my life. I didn't even know what it was about.
Yeah.
And then I got invited to do Jim Myers, Uncle Jim Myers. I did a show on the Urban Health Outreach Media Network. And then from there, I think Jared Brown seen me on Uncle Jim's show, and he wanted to interview me. So did an interview with Jared.
Shout out Jared.
Yeah, and the Warriors Quest show. So shout out to Jared, the Warriors Quest show. But I did another interview, I think, with Steve Belcher, and I realized that I like doing these like interviews, and I thought, man, this is a great way to get information out. It's a huge platform. But then I realized, wait a minute, there's only a handful of us doing this, and there's so many warriors out here.
Yeah.
Like, man, I wonder. I think I'm going to start a podcast. So I start a podcast, and at the time I had a page called Hope for Jonathan, right? Because that was my kidney page, Hope for Jonathan. And then I thought, I got the kidney, so now I think I'm going to change the show. I don't know. So I thought about changing it. So I changed it. I said, you know what, Hope with Jonathan. Sounds like a catchy title. So I was like, all right, we'll go with that. See what happens.
Yeah.
I thought later on maybe I'll change it to something kidney. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But it never happened. And Hope with Jonathan just kind of stuck. And I remember, man, I started reaching out to different people and that, talking with people about interviewing, and and I look back at some of my earlier interviews, and I'm humbled by them.
Yeah.
Because it was fun getting started. But man, the journey has been incredible. Like, I wanted to share warrior stories and stories of hope. And so we started interviewing patients that needed kidneys. And we still do that. And we've kind of ventured into more of educational stuff. And warrior stories that, like last night, our interview with the kidney fighter, Mark Cornell. I mean, stories like that, man.
Shout out.
If those interviews don't bring hope, man, I don't know what will, because that guy was a ball of fire, right?
Yeah.
And so for a kidney patient to see someone like Mark Cornell interview and watch that interview, man, they're going to be inspired by that. I know if, you know, looking back, like when July 2019, when I was like a deer in headlights and all this stuff had happened to me, man, I mean, if I could have come across a video like that and watched an interview like that, I would say, you know what, I'm going to make it.
Yeah.
I'm going to be okay. And so, you know, but Hope with Jonathan's all about sharing stories of hope and just trying to give people a platform to share their story, man. And it's been an incredible honor, man. And so many people reaching out to me wanting to share their story. And believe it or not, I'm pretty busy with it. Booked up, quite extensively. So it's awesome though. It really is. And I'm encouraged by it. And so as long as people are watching and interacting, man, I'm going to continue to do it because it's in my blood, man. It's in my passion. I just really enjoy it. And by doing these, like I said, we're sharing hope, but we're also trying to educate people and inform people and let people know about this. And, you know, like Uncle Jim says, he says, we keep talking, and he's referring about kidney disease. We keep talking about it until they listen. And that's what we want to do. We want to keep talking about kidney disease until everybody knows about it, because, and no offense to cancer, God bless people that pass of cancer. Man, I had an uncle pass back in December of 2020. God rest his soul. But, you know, cancer is very impactful, and a lot of people know about it. I mean, you know, month of October is dedicated to cancer, breast cancer awareness. And you see pink everywhere. But, you know, I think we got to get kidney disease on that platform too, where it's a worldwide spectrum. Everyone knows about it. Everybody they see green ribbon or something, something. They know, like, hey man, it's kidney disease. You know, we need to be mindful of kidney disease. And that's what I want to do, man. I want to be impactful and do something impactful and leave my mark on kidney disease, man. So that's what we're all about.
You are doing that, brother, like straight up. All you're doing now, man, is just evolving to where you're supposed to go, you know. And it's an honor and a pleasure to be on this journey with you, brother. To be on this journey with you and to experience this life like this, because we are the game changers, you know. We are changing this game for people that need it.
And you know, and God's been leading my steps with this, man. Like people just coming into my life, you know, that needed to come into my life, you know, and some incredible people, some great advocates, and some for a season, and some I think that'll be around for a lifetime. You know what I mean? And but the kidney community, man, they immediately embraced me, man, and showed me a lot of love. And you know, and I reciprocate that love back to them. I love the kidney community, and it's really been good to me, man. You know, even some of my family members that didn't really reach out a whole lot whenever I was going through what I was going through. You know, that was replaced by the kidney community, man, because they they embraced me and showed me that love that I needed at that time. And so, you know, man, it's just an honor to share that back and by sharing people's stories. You know what I mean?
Yes. Being of service. That's basically what you're doing. You know, you've gotten out of the storm. You know, I mean, dealing with kidney disease, you kind of are always kind of in the storm. You know what I mean? It's very unpredictable. You never know what can happen. So just taking care of ourselves, really being disciplined in our daily routines and everything that you're doing. Because honestly, brother, you look phenomenal. Like, you look amazing. You're straight up glowing. So just you gotta keep it up, man. Because
I appreciate that, Marcelo. I appreciate that. Yeah. Before we got off or got on this interview, I actually did about a 4-mile walk to keep myself mindful. You know, I've been watching Mr. Kidney this week. And talking about being mindful. And so, you know, I was like, you know what, I got to get out there today and do a walk, you know. And you know, man, I feel so good after I do some exercise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The blood's flowing in my
Blood.
body. I can feel it circulating.
Yeah.
And man, I feel this calmness now that, you know, in my body since I
Mhm.
did my exercise and my walk. And you know, my wife's got some grilled chicken in the oven that we're gonna eat here in a little bit. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna eat some grilled chicken and some veggies. But
Eating
so,
fresh, man. I love it.
oh yeah, man, you
Yeah.
got to do it, man. You got to take care of yourself, or you'll end up like me, and you don't want to end
Sure.
up like me. You don't want to end up
Sure.
in that hospital room like that. Any way you can prevent it, you know,
Yeah.
definitely stay on top of your blood work and stay on top of your labs because it's worth it. You're worth it.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to end up in an emergency room, and if you're just barely hanging on, you know, because there's warriors out there that don't want to go on dialysis, and
Mhm.
maybe you need to think about going on dialysis until, you know, and if your ultimate goal is transplant, then dialysis is going to keep you alive until you can get that transplant. And
Mhm.
you know, transplant's not for everyone. Some people don't want a transplant, and I get that.
Mhm.
I understand that. It's a choice. It's your choice. I get that. But for some warriors out there that I know that don't even want to go on dialysis, or they're trying to push it
Yeah.
as far as they can. And you know, that scares me. It concerns me because I don't want to see people, you know, in an emergency situation like me,
Yeah.
where you end up crashing and end up having to go, you know, the route that I did. It's scary. It's a very scary, life altering situation. So
It is. It is, man. And honestly, again, you made it out. There's a reason why you made it out, and just
yeah,
continue the
right
mission,
here,
man. Continue,
the
yes,
reason
continue
right
it.
behind me.
I love it. I love it. So I guess so let's say for anyone that's in not a good place, or they don't know where to go or where to turn, where can they ask questions? Where can they find you? Where can they connect with Jonathan?
Well, you know, I'm Jonathan Traylor. You can reach out to me on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I have a website, hopewithjonathan.com. You're more than welcome. I have my phone number listed across the board, so that's my personal cell on most of my like Instagram accounts and different accounts. And my actual personal cell phone is listed on those. And
Mm.
feel free to reach out, man. Text, message. I've gotten messages as far as like midnight and 1 o'clock in the morning from people, and I'm being serious. People in different time zones. You know what I
That's
mean?
true. That's true too.
You know, I talked with Philip Harris Jones. He's on the West Coast, and
Yeah.
so Pacific time is like 2 hours, you know, behind or in front. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's a little bit earlier there. And so, but you know, I'm cool with it because I'm like, you know what, people need someone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, they can feel free to reach out to me. I'm a really friendly guy, laid
I love
back. Uh, so they can definitely reach out to me on most of those platforms and my website as well. So that, you know, feel free to reach out, man. I like I said, I'm a really laid back, chill, humbled, humbled kidney warrior.
You are, man. I love it. I love the energy, dude. I love the vibe. And my last question for you, and I love to ask this because I love to ask this question and to see what will happen, what will manifest, right? So where do you see yourself in the next year, like the next 2, maybe 3 years, with everything that you got going on?
Oh wow, man. Um, you know what? I just want to be God's vessel, man. I just want to be His instrument, and I want Him to lead me and
Mhm.
guide me. So whatever He has for me, that's what I'll be doing. But
Yeah.
in the future, man, I just continue to see the podcast growing.
Yeah.
Hopefully, going to the new levels, and let him take me to new levels and connect with some great people. Continue to connect with people like you, Marcelo.
Yes.
Uh, you know, I've already connected with a lot of different great people, but you know, just continue to connect with and network with great people.
Mm.
And I feel like a podcast eventually, you know, is just going to continue to grow.
Mhm.
And also, I think I'm going to eventually write a book.
Ooh.
I do feel like that's coming. So
Yeah.
do feel like a book is coming. And who knows, man? The sky's the limit. I sat back for many years, and I didn't have whole lot of belief in myself, and now I'm exact opposite. So, a near-death experience totally shifted my mindset.
Yeah.
The kidney failure and the kidney, all of it, it just totally shifted me. And so I'm a whole new creature, if you will.
Yeah.
And because of it. And so my thinking is differently, and I think big now. I think big, like my mindset. So, I really hope with Jonathan will just continue to grow, man. And I just want to be God's vessel, man. I just want him to use me in any way he can. And I just see it continuously growing. Like I said, a book, I do see a book coming in the future. So,
dude, that was perfectly right there. I love that, man, because it's just taking it step by step and really listening to your tuition and to what feels right, man.
Yeah.
And I have no doubt that the next couple of years it's just gonna get better and better and better. And it's awesome, man. It really is awesome, my brother. And
appreciate
anybody that needs help or needs support or is looking for a kidney, reach out to this man. Reach out to him, because, and not just that, he's just a great person. He's someone that can resonate with you and can relate. I figure but I noticed that that's the hardest thing. Even when you're talking to your doctors or your social workers, it's like there's almost a lack of relatability, because they're not good at that,
Yeah, they're too busy spitting out medical terminology instead of connecting on a human level and try to just give them that real, that real talk, just have a real conversation. And I've got a great nephrologist. I'm blessed with a great nephrologist. He's really cool and laid back, and he just comes in, and talks with you. And gives you that real talk, and so it's not about I have a giant degree and I want to spit out a lot of medical terminology that you'll have to Google search later. Type stuff. He comes in and he tells you straight up what's going on, and it's awesome. So man, I think people just looking for that real real connection,
And we're here, baby. We're right on time, my brother, for real. It's been a pleasure, my boy. I don't want to, I want to be respectful of your time, but I just want to say thank you so much. It truly is an honor, and I got Hope with Jonathan in the books now. We're just gonna keep building and growing, and definitely have to do a part 2 to this, man. Great chemistry, man.
Absolutely. Sure. And you know what? For too long, I'm gonna have you on my shows as well. Of course. Man. We got to reciprocate the love.
It's all love.
Hope with Jonathan.
Let's get it, my brother. Let's get it. Okay, my brother. I hope you have a wonderful night. Take care of yourself, and I'm sure we'll be connecting in the future.
All right, my friend. I appreciate you. Much love to you. God bless.
Love,
all right,
man.
You too. Bye.